Thank you very much. Before we recognize the 2011 Air Safety Award, Aviation Security Award, and Pilot Assistance Award honorees, I would like to take a few moments to recognize some of our former honorees who are with us tonight. Please hold your applause until the last honoree is saluted. Please join me in recognizing several former Air Safety Award winners. Would you please stand when I call your name? Captain William Melvin, 1977. Thanks for doing what I told you. Captain David Haas, 1988. Captain Paul McCarthy, 1992. Captain Tom Kramer, 1994. Captain Dick Duxbury, 1995. Captain John Cox, 1997. Captain Mitchell Serber, 2003. Captain Robert Perkins, 2006. Captain Terry McVenis, 2007. Captain Dave Wells, 2008. Captain Ray Jelena, 2009. And Captain Pete Fry, 2010. Thank you for joining all of us tonight. This is the 6th year that we are presenting the ALPA Aviation Security Award. We have a couple of Security Award winner honorees with us tonight. Would you please stand when I call your name? Captain Ed Folsom, 2007. And Captain Craig Hall, 2008. We are honored that you are all here with us tonight. This is the 4th year that we are presenting ALPA's Pilot Assistance Award. We would like to recognize Captain Richard Wilkening, who received that award in 2009. Captain Wilkening, please stand. All of these dedicated pilots gave us the precious gifts of their time, energy, and experience to build ALPA's proud legacy of advancing aviation safety and security and helping our fellow pilots throughout their careers. We salute you. And now I'm pleased to introduce ALPA President Captain Lee Moak.
Good evening. Thanks for everybody attending tonight. It's a great night. But before I begin, I'd like to direct your attention to the video screens for a special video presentation. Over the past 4 days, our goal of promoting the highest levels of aviation safety has been center stage. But as you can see from the video, for ALPA's Air Safety Organization representatives, it's more than just 4 days. It's 24/7, 365. It's responding to a hotline call in the middle of the night. It's advocating our views on Capitol and Parliament Hills. It's helping our fellow pilots through difficult challenges in their professional and personal lives. And it's working together with government officials and our industry partners to effect positive change in our industry and our profession. And for the Airline Pilots Association International, advancing air safety is not just our job, it's a moral imperative to us. We are duty-bound and dedicated to carrying out this mission, and we don't take our responsibility lightly. Tonight, we honor a select group of ALPA members who have demonstrated their steadfast commitment to this goal through their work to enhance aviation safety and security, assist pilots in need, and strengthen our profession. We also recognize 2 flight crews who demonstrated superior airmanship in safely handling their impaired aircraft, thereby protecting their passengers from harm. What sets ALPA apart as a labor union is that we serve 2 roles. One is the collective bargaining representative for our 53,000 members, pilots at 37 airlines in the United States and Canada. The other is as the largest independent aviation safety organization in the world. That's because our safety goals are at the core of our strategic priorities to enhance pilots' livelihoods and protect the piloting profession. What strikes me most about the Air Safety Forum is how engaged all of us as aviation stakeholders, pilots, regulators, legislators, air transportation organizations, other labor groups, airline managements, and industry manufacturers are in working together towards these mutual goals. On behalf of the Airline Pilots Association International, I want to thank all of you for making this event the success that it is. We have many honored guests here tonight, and I just watched Captain Hogeman try to give you directions, so I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is I'm going to introduce just a few of them, and I'd like to identify the ones that are sitting at the head table here with me tonight. First, and you'll hear more from him in a moment, former Secretary of Transportation Norman Mineta. Transportation Appeal Tribunal of Canada Chair and CEO Richard Hall. Transportation Safety Board of Canada Chief Operating Officer Jean Laporte. International Federation of Airline Pilots Association President Captain Don Wyckoff. And European Cockpit Association President Captain Nico Vorbach. Union of Canadian Transportation Employees President Christine Collins. And Airbus Vice President Safety and Technical Affairs Bill Bozen. Boeing Director, Regulatory Affairs, Captain Terry McVinus. To each of you, thank you for your support. We look forward to our continued partnerships with each of you. Now, when I say we we are all stakeholders, and that also includes the ALPA staff. They've invested their extensive knowledge, experience, and expertise in our union, in our profession, in our industry, and in fulfilling our safety goals. They work closely with our pilot representatives and the Air Safety Organization and our many industry and government partners. Please join me in thanking the ALPA staff for their impressive work, especially in helping put together all the events this week. Well, now that you're sitting back down, I'd also like to recognize all the spouses, all the significant others, all the family members whose support enables ALPA pilot volunteers to continue their important work on our behalf. You are all vital members of the ALPA team. Stand up for that. Finally, let us pay tribute to those who have paved the way for our progress. Please join me in a moment of silence for the pioneering pilots and all of our fellow ALPA members who have flown west. Thank you. Now, it's my distinct pleasure to welcome the Honorable Norman Mineta, former Secretary of Transportation, to give tonight's keynote address. Secretary Mineta has been a great friend to ALPA over his 30 years of service as a member of Congress representing San Jose, California, and in the cabinets of both Republican and Democratic presidents. He was appointed the U.S. Secretary of Transportation by George W. Bush in 2001. Following the 9/11 terrorist attacks, Secretary Mineta guided the creation of the Transportation Security Administration, the largest mobilization of a new federal agency since World War II. The Norman Y. Mineta San Jose International Airport was named after him later that year. He also served as President Bill Clinton's Secretary of Commerce and was Vice President of Lockheed Martin prior to that. While in Congress, he chaired the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure between 1992 and 1994. He served as chairman of the committee's aviation subcommittee from 1981 to 1988. Among his numerous accomplishments, Secretary Mineta received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the United States, and the Wright Brothers Memorial Trophy, awarded for significant public service of enduring value to aviation in the United States. He also received the Tony Jannus Award for his distinguished contributions to commercial air transportation. Across ALPA and throughout the aviation industry, Secretary Mineta is widely respected for his knowledge and leadership. Some of you may know that he has an aviation family. His wife Denny was a flight attendant. His stepson Robert Brantner is a pilot at Delta, and his son Stuart is a pilot at SkyWest. For his friendship and dedication to our safety mission, we consider him an important member of ALPA's extended family. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Secretary Norman Mineta.
Lee, thank you very much. Lee, thank you very much for that very warm introduction, and thanks to all of you for that very warm welcome as well. It really is great to see all of you, and there are so many of you who have come from far spots to be here this week. In addition to the ALPA reps who fly for some 37 airlines in North America, we have colleagues from Spain, Canada, Mexico, South Africa, France, Germany, and elsewhere. So welcome to Washington, D.C. to all of you. Now, I couldn't help but notice that some of you were checking Olympic scores on your smartphones. And I've been guilty of doing that as well. But I've got the DVR on at our home. So if you know who won medals in track and field or the women's soccer game today, please be a sport and don't spoil it for me. Now, as I was looking forward to being here tonight, I thought about how aviation has brought so much joy into my life, both professionally and personally. When I was first elected to the San Jose City Council, I became the liaison to the Airport Commission. Now, we had to work long and hard to bring commercial air service to our city, given the fact that we're about 40 miles from San Francisco and 42 miles from Oakland. But we did it, and San Jose has never had to look back ever since. But later on, after getting elected to Congress, as Lee indicated, I did chair the aviation subcommittee for some 8 years, and then chaired the full committee on what was then called Public Works and Transportation, now called Transportation and Infrastructure. And as I flew back and forth across the country in those 20 years in Congress, 3 weekends out of the month back to my district, by 1981, I had become the chair of the aviation subcommittee. So I used to ride jump seat across the country to get familiar with all of the issues that all of you were facing. And to me, that was not only a great educational experience, but frankly, it was a lot of fun as well. And from that experience came stories, war stories, as we would talk about, as I would talk about my experience in the jump seat, and so our sons really got interested about aviation. And of course, as Lee has already mentioned, my wife Denny was a United flight attendant for 35 years. So we've been able to see aviation, and I've been able to see it from all different perspectives, and I can't think of being prouder. Denny and I are very proud of our two sons who are now flying commercially. Stuart flying a CRJ 900 as a captain for SkyWest, and he's hoping maybe later this year, early next year, as hiring gets opened up, that he'll be flying with one of the legacy carriers. But all of that aside, I'd have to say that one of the greatest gifts available that aviation has given to me, frankly, is all of you. ALPA has demonstrated, like no other, what it truly means to talk about and act out safety. Now, we'd be here all night long if I had to recount all the great things that we have accomplished together. But I'd have to single out the pilot fatigue rule as one area where we kept at it despite all the obstacles that came our way. And we know that the traveling public expects an alert and rested flight crew when they board a plane. And this rule uses the latest in scientific fatigue studies to make sure that pilots are able to get the rest that they need. Now, every pilot does have a personal responsibility to arrive at work fit for duty. And the new rule gives you enough time to get that rest. And it's flexible. It accounts for differences in fatigue based on different types of operation, day or night, long haul or short haul, and it is not a one-size-fits-all kind of a solution. You know that that rule was some 60 years in the making. And while I wish it could have come sooner, I am optimistic that it won't take another 60 years to include cargo pilots. So thank you, ALPA, for lending your expertise on this very, very important endeavor. The safety and the well-being of passengers has been ingrained in your history from day one. And so tonight, we recognize a special group for going above and beyond the call of duty. So congratulations to Captain Bill DeGrow, Captain Tom O'Toole, and Captain Everett Reese for their efforts in air safety, pilot assistance, and aviation security. And hats off to the Superior Airmanship Award honorees on Delta Flight 1152, Captain Rodney DeWeese and First Officer Paul Skulchek. And then United Flight 634, Captain Dale Nordhausen and First Officer John Escurry. What a proud moment this is for all of you, and deservedly so. So job well done, and thank you very, very much. Now, before I close, I would like to exercise a point of personal privilege, and that is to recognize two other people, Lee, if you don't mind. One is someone who you've dealt with over a long period of time on safety issues. He was a member of the National Transportation Safety Board and a great friend of mine, Bob Francis. Robert, where are you? Oh, there he is. And then someone who was an assistant to me as Secretary of Transportation, and I cherish her advice and counsel and knowledge. And she is now an attorney at TSA, and that's Denise Daniels. Denise, thanks a million for all you did. So Lee and ALPA, thank you very, very much for inviting me here to share in the festivities of this banquet. And before I turn it back to Lee, I hope you'll indulge me in a little pilot talk. Ladies and gentlemen, This is your captain speaking. Travel safely. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for sharing your perspective and for also for being such a strong supporter of the Airline Pilots Association International over the years. Now would Delta MEC Chairman Captain Tim O'Malley and United MEC Chairman Jay Hepner please come up on stage to assist me tonight with tonight's Superior Airmanship Award presentations. Yeah, here I am trying to tell the two large MEC chairmen what to do. Just wait there. Actually, I think I'll take advantage of that while I can. Oh, there you go. The two crews we honor tonight demonstrate the required skills, clear thinking, quick decision making, and crew coordination that are vital to the safe outcome of their flights. Through their courageous actions, they illustrated the finest qualities that characterize ALPA pilots. Please give your undivided attention to MEC Chairman Captain Tim O'Malley to hear about the heroic actions of the crew of Delta Flight 1152. Tim?
Good evening. Thank you for joining me this evening to recognize the exceptional actions of two ALPA members and Delta pilots. It is with great pride that I recap for you the story of Delta Flight 1152. On the night of October 4th, 2010, Captain Rodney DeWeese and First Officer Paul Skluzacek were operating Delta 1152, a fully loaded 767, bound for San Francisco from Honolulu. The sky was dark and cloudy with no visible horizon as their aircraft lifted off and began its initial climb. Captain DeWeese was the pilot flying and First Officer Skluzacek was the pilot monitoring as they began the climb out from Honolulu International Airport. At about 500 feet, Captain DeWeese attempted to roll out of the departure turn, but the 767 did not respond to normal control inputs. In fact, it was later determined the number 10 outboard spoiler on the right wing had failed and was stuck in the fully extended position. As the airplane was rolling past 45 degrees of bank, Captain DeWeese was only able to stop the roll by using full left aileron and full left rudder, completely by reference to the cockpit flight instruments, as he had no outside visual references. Only by using these extreme control inputs was Captain DeWeese able to level the wings as the aircraft was buffeting badly and descending toward the ocean below. The professional actions of both pilots working as a team arrested the descent rate of the heavy aircraft and finally began to climb out again away from the ocean. So just stop and think about that for a moment as we sit here and sip our coffee. The difference between the expectation of having a normal takeoff and heading to San Francisco and finding yourself descending towards the ocean in 45 degrees of bank in the dark, staring at a little ball and trying to figure out, what is this airplane doing? And you have a moment to take action. And if you take the wrong action, it's over. The crew then used differential thrust to reduce some of the left aileron that was required to keep the aircraft level. Captain DeWeese also needed and skillfully applied full left rudder trim and nearly full left rudder pedal throw to counter the fully deployed spoiler panel. Leveling off at 3,000 feet, they then reduced left engine thrust even further to more easily control the aircraft as required to keep the wings level. Further compounding the situation, the crew found no guidance in the quick reference handbook. They set up for a holding pattern away from the airport to burn down fuel, and then coordinated with Honolulu Air Traffic Control, informed the flight attendants and passengers of the control problem and their plan to return to Honolulu. Captain DeWeese and First Officer Skluzacek continued their superb crew coordination while attempting to ascertain the safest, most controllable configuration for a return landing. Without any guidance from emergency manuals, Captain DeWeese and First Officer Skluzacek climbed the emergency aircraft at 10,000 feet to conduct a series of controllability checks. They lowered the landing gear and found that 15 degrees of flaps caused moderate buffeting and 20 degrees of flaps caused severe buffeting. They returned to flaps 5 to reduce the buffeting and continued in the holding pattern, burning fuel to reduce the 767's landing weight. The already difficult emergency situation gets a bit worse. The aircraft was dispatched with the thrust reverser on the right side inoperative. And Captain DeWeese was concerned about landing rollout and the distance required in a heavy 767 that had controllability problems. So to recap, no thrust reverser on the right engine, significant airborne controllability challenges, a high-speed approach in a heavy airplane, reduced stopping ability, rollout controllability issues, a dark, cloudy night with no horizon, and nothing in the book to assist them. It's easy to see why Captain DeWeese and First Officer Skluzacek are being honored here tonight. In addition to the remarkable stick and rudder skills used to maintain control of the stricken 767, the crew also exhibited cool professionalism by calmly briefing the passengers and flight attendants of the possibility of an emergency landing and emergency evacuation due to a potential brake fire that could be caused due to the overweight landing. While on approach and still concerned about the high approach speed and overweight landing, Captain DeWeese decided to position the flaps to 15 degrees to see if the buffeting was manageable. Flaps 15 was flyable, so he then attempted a flap setting of 20 degrees, which they also found to be manageable and would provide a much slower and safer approach speed. Captain DeWeese, to reduce the rollout control problems, Captain DeWeese hand flew the approach with 10 degrees of rudder trim and using differential thrust at 1,000 feet above the runway. First Officer Skluzacek zeroed out the rudder trim to ensure a stable and safe rollout. The actual landing was uneventful, with the exception of loud cheers from the passenger's cabin due to a safe landing. An airport rescue and firefighting crew was ready with brake fans and immediately began cooling the brakes after rollout, and therefore the anticipated emergency evacuation of the aircraft was not necessary. Captain DeWeese and First Officer Skluzacek skillfully and professionally handled potentially catastrophic post-takeoff controllability emergency. On the darkest of nights with no discernible horizon, they managed to fully control an uncommanded roll at low altitude with reference only to their flight instruments. The exemplary piloting skills and textbook crew resource management techniques of Captain DeWeese and First Officer Skluzacek that October night allowed them to quickly develop a plan for a safe return to Honolulu with an emergency for which they had received little training and for which no emergency procedure existed. It is my honor and privilege as the chairman of the Delta Master Executive Council, Airline Pilots Association International, to recognize them this evening with ALPA's Superior Airmanship Award. These two men typify and in fact define what it means to be a professional pilot. Captain DeWeese and First Officer Skluzacek, congratulations on your well-deserved award.
Captain Rodney DeWeese and First Officer Paul Skluzacek, will you please join me on the stage? Rescue before I heard about the pizza? For the firefighter? That's a class act. Before I give this award, there is one other part of this story that I think was left out that's my favorite part, is after that was all over, the captain and the first officer sent pizza to the airport rescue and firefighting professionals there at the airport. Yeah. You gotta like that. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Job well done. Congratulations. Job well done. Would you like to say a few remarks? Oh, you're mic'd up. Okay, perfect. Right here, Scott.
We had interrupted their dinner. Thank you, Captain Moak. My honor to be in the presence of Secretary Mineta, one of my heroes. Special guests, ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, fellow pilots. Before I came to Washington for this award ceremony, I had read the latest issue of the Airline Pilot magazine, and one article especially struck me was the evolution of safety through training. And I thought that could have just as easily have been written, the evolution of training through safety. Because to me, safety and training go hand in hand. One begets the other. A good training program ensures a good safety record. A good safety program ensures good training. Safety is, in effect, the industry watchdog to ensure that the aircraft owners and operators do not cut corners and do address the critical issues in aviation. My hat is off to all the volunteers here at ALPA and the safety programs and the training programs. The entire organization is a class act. Every day they offer their expertise to ensure that the common everyday line pilots like Paul and myself are given the needed training, practice, and exposure to be able to meet unexpected emergency scenarios and ensure a good outcome. There's no doubt in my mind that any one of the 53,000 ALPA pilots in this organization could easily have met and had the same outcome as we did. Captain Dave McKinney, the UAL, United Airlines Director of Training, had a special article that looked forward to improvements in training in the areas of airmanship, partial system failure, transition between manual and automated flight, training for the unknown, and startle surprise scenarios. Boy, do I have a loft scenario for him. My whole goal since this episode has been to get that incorporated, and I hope they do, because it's, to me, one of the most meaningful experiences in my aviation 35 years, and I would really like to see that happen. So, this award, to me, is something like an Olympic gold medal in aviation. It's not an individual medal like Michael Phelps in the 100-meter butterfly. This is more of a team medal. We experienced the ultimate team challenge, and I had a great one working with me. My first officer, Paul, kept me calm. My flight attendant crew kept the people calm. The air traffic controllers, dispatchers, chief pilots, and maintenance supervisors, and even Boeing engineers were on the phone and the radio with us for almost 2 hours, all expressing ideas and inputs and trying to bring us to a safe and logical conclusion. They kept us out of the water and in the bleachers where we belong. Gold medals to all of you. Coaches in the Olympics don't get medals, but they should. Every instructor pilot, every ground school instructor, every fellow hangar flying pilot I ever talked to helped build a foundation of experience, expertise, skill, and knowledge that all came together on that dark tropical night. They are the unsung heroes of every incident that doesn't turn into an accident. This gold medal in aviation belongs to them, as well as all the ALPA safety representatives. Because people, there are no silver or bronze medals. There is no second place when it comes to safety. Thank all of you and all of them. Thank you.
Now please give your undivided attention to MEC Chairman Captain Jay Hepner as he recounts the remarkable efforts of the crew of United Flight 634.
Thank you, Lee. It is a great pleasure that I stand before you this evening to introduce two fellow aviators at United Airlines, Captain Dale Nordhausen and First Officer John S. Curie. We don't hear much about heroes in aviation these days. At United, Al Haynes and Denny Fitch certainly left an imprint in the minds of the flying public with their heroic actions. Captain Nordhausen and First Officer S. Curie joined these ranks of aviation heroes. The 51 passengers and crew aboard United Flight 634 on January 10, 2010 remember them in that way, and so should we. United Flight 634, which originated from Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, seemed like a routine flight en route to Newark's Liberty International Airport. It was routine until First Officer Iskiri, who was flying the airplane, asked Captain Nordhausen to extend the landing gear during final approach. When Captain Nordhausen moved the gear lever to the down position, the landing gear indication lights remained red. An oral master warning enunciated, and messages on the ECAM indicated that one or both of the main landing gears were not down and locked. After executing a go-around, the pilots cycled the landing gear in accordance with the checklist. However, the landing gear indicator lights remained red. Captain Nordhausen took control of the airplane, radioed air traffic control while directing First Officer Iskiri to continue with the checklist, which called for trying to extend the gear by gravity. Captain Nordhausen noted that the remaining fuel totaled approximately 30 minutes of flying time in the landing configuration. After the pilots completed the alternate landing gear extension procedure, the right main landing gear light remained red, and the pilots prepared for a partial gear-up landing. Observed by the air traffic controller in the tower, they were told they had two good landing gear and something out on the right side, but it didn't quite look right. So the final decision was to be made in that configuration. During the next 8 minutes, Captain Nordhausen flew the airplane and coordinated with air traffic control for delaying and positioning vectors, while also coordinating with the flight attendants to prepare the passengers for a gear-up landing. During the same time period, First Officer Iskiri tried, under difficult radio reception conditions, to coordinate with the airline. Captain Nordhausen and First Officer Iskiri were able to accomplish all the actions specified on the partial gear landing checklist and to prepare the cabin for a partial gear landing on Newark's runway 4 left. Captain Nordhausen contacted the flight attendants and informed that they would have to evacuate the airplane after landing. As the air traffic control vectored the airliner along the left downwind leg abeam the airport, First Officer Iskiri briefed Captain Nordhausen on the checklist items and determined they still had enough fuel to fly one more go-around if necessary before landing. At about 9 a.m., the pilots advised air traffic control that they were ready to land on runway 4 left. Captain Nordhausen noted, "If we need more time, we'll make a 360-degree turn." While on final approach, Captain Nordhausen did elect to fly a 360-degree turn to ensure that he and First Officer Iskiri had taken all the required cockpit actions that the flight attendants and passengers had been briefed, and the airport rescue and firefighting crews were prepared. Captain Nordhausen touched down on the runway on the left main landing gear, held off the right wing for about 300 feet before the right engine nacelle settled onto the runway. The airplane came to rest on the left main landing gear, the nose wheel, and the right engine nacelle. The airplane suffered only minor damage. The airplane stopped virtually on the runway center line, of course, about 3,400 feet from the initial touchdown point. And after the airplane came to a rest, the purser activated the evacuation alarm, and the flight attendants instructed the passengers to evacuate the cabin. The pilots completed the evacuation checklist and conducted a walkthrough of the cabin to make sure that all passengers and crew had departed. Both pilots evacuated the cabin using the main door evacuation slide. Subsequent investigation revealed that the right main landing gear door actuator had failed to extend the door to its fully open position, and the door thus blocked the right main landing gear from extending to its fully down and locked position. Captain Nordhausen and First Officer Iskiri, decisive actions and outstanding professionalism that day meant no passenger or crew were seriously injured, and the airplane received only minor damage. The incident led to United making changes to its checklists, the FAA requiring inspections throughout the airline industry, and a redesign of the door actuator. With each flight, United pilots enter the cockpit prepared and equipped to handle such situations as these two faced. We earn our reputation on being among the world's best aviators. And the 51 passengers and crew aboard United Flight 634 that January morning certainly understand the value of having professionally trained and experienced pilots in the cockpit. They owe their lives to Captain Nordhausen and First Officer Iskiri. It is my honor and my privilege tonight to introduce to you Captain Dale Nordhausen and First Officer John Iskiri, two true heroes of modern aviation whose actions remain special superior airmanship.
Congratulations. Great job. Congratulations. Great job. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Hold that, John. Thanks. Well, good evening. And John and I'd like to thank the Airline Pilot Association just for this entire safety event. It really puts a different aspect when you go through what some of these crews here, the last flight crew, and we went through. And it is quite an honor to be here tonight, receive this award. Just have a very short list of thank yous and acknowledgments. First, our wives, my wife Michelle, thank you for your support. And just thank you. Just to speak for John and his wife, Deb, the same thing, for all your support. Thanks. United MEC, the Newark Air Traffic Control, and the Newark Crash, Fire, and Rescue, they were there for us. United Captain and ALPA volunteer Greg Downs, and First Officer and Critical Incident Response Chair Louise Cullinan. They were actually there in Newark to meet us and assist us within about, 1 hour after the event. Greg brought us some food and water and just supported us. And Louise was there to talk to the flight attendants, to talk to us, to assist us. And it was quite an assistance and quite a help. So ALPA was there literally within an hour, maybe it was an hour and a half after we were in Newark flight ops. So that was really amazing. A thank you to our flight attendants, Rita, Karen, and Wendy. And a lot of folks asked what it was like that day to land, and it was quite an eye-opener. I've been a captain just over 15 years, but as a new first officer, when you have a out-of-the-ordinary event, like maybe just a line of weather, you'll formulate an idea what you want to do, and then you'll turn to your left and talk that over with the captain. And John and I talked it over, and it was sort of a turn to the left moment for me as you realize, okay, I'm going to land this thing this way. And we had no idea where the landing gear was positioned and how the rollout would go. When the right engine touched down, it just slid down the runway incredibly smoothly, and that was not my doing. It was a very smooth rollout, and all the folks evacuated safely, and I'm just so thankful that the folks got out, the flight attendants, and all the crew uninjured. And just a regular Joe here, appreciate the award. But safety is of the Lord, and it would not be complete if I did not thank my personal Lord and Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. I got saved in 2002, and he's the hero of this event. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Matt. I'm just amazed watching this guy walk around with the iPad recording everything. I mean, it is very impressive. And, in fact, we need to get him working for us. All right. Well, now it's my privilege to present the 2011 Pilot Assistance Award. This award was established to recognize pilots who have gone above and beyond in their help to their fellow airmen. As we know, the piloting profession is one of the most regulated jobs of our time. We're required to meet the highest standards and are responsible for ensuring the safety of hundreds of passengers and crew members during each flight. Pilots are not immune to the pressures of the job, so where can we turn when we feel overwhelmed by the realities of our personal and our professional lives? For decades, the Canadian pilots have been able to turn to Jazz Captain Thomas O'Toole. Beginning with the crash of Swissair 111 off Halifax, Nova Scotia in 1998, and through the aftermath of First Air Flight 6560 at Resolute last year, he has assisted pilots through these and many other critical events. Never denying anyone support, he has extended his help to crew members and management. When a pilot's issues go beyond his capabilities, Captain O'Toole is instrumental in connecting people with the resources they need so that they can recover and then return to work. The support that Captain O'Toole provides goes beyond his outstanding work in the critical incident response. He has counseled Canadian ALPA pilots in all areas of pilot assistance, from health concerns to retirement to addiction. Captain O'Toole has dedicated to helping ALPA pilots, ALPA pilot members across Canada, and his dedication is second to none. He currently serves as ALPA Canada Pilot Assistance Vice Chairman and the Jazz MEC Pilot Assistance Vice Chairman. He is active in recruiting and training future pilot assistance volunteers. He has helped countless pilots overcome personal and professional obstacles so they can perform at their very best in the cockpit. Captain O'Toole, you are truly a pilot's pilot. It is our pleasure to award you with this year's ALPA's Pilot Assistance Award for exceptional commitment to serving your fellow pilots. Congratulations. Would you like to say a few words? Sure. All right, good.
Wow. Thanks, Captain Moak, for those very nice words. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, thank you very much for the applause. It's very overwhelming. If you know me, you'd understand what I'm saying. In a lot of these speeches, near the end of the speech, you come to, last but not least, I'd like to thank my wife. But I think it's more important to have that first and foremost, because I couldn't have done anything without my backing of my wife at home. And spouses. So if you want to come on up. We just celebrated our 23rd wedding anniversary about 2 weeks ago. We have a 20-year-old daughter, and I've been doing this for 22 years, so that kind of gives you an indication of the support I get at home, and it's greatly appreciated. Thanks. I do hope, you know, everybody in this room understands it, but all the ALPA pilots that are out there, I hope they understand how lucky they are to have a stellar pilot assistance committee under the care of Jerry McDermott, sitting there waiting for them when things happen, like these gentlemen that before me have had happen to them. We'll get that support, and we have just a stellar group of volunteers, and it's been a pleasure to work with all of you over the years, so thank you very much for that. In Canada, we have what's called the Canadian Pilot Assistance. It's kind of like the US. You guys have it all broken down in different groups. We do it all in one umbrella, and we do it very politely. As we're told, we're very polite in Canada, so. Up there we have 2 individuals that have helped train us and give us guidance and stuff like that. Would be Captain Dave Noble and Reverend Brian Murray, names you probably are all very familiar with. We couldn't have done it without them, and they keep us, like I say, on the straight and narrow for the most part. The other things we could never do without is a supportive MEC. Our MEC is extremely supportive. They understand our needs, our goals, and they work very hard to get us what we need, and that we thank you very much. That's the yin. The yang is our management at Jazz especially. A lot of them are trained. They took our course in pilot assistance, and they totally understand what we're trying to achieve, and again, the support has just been incredible, and that we thank you for too. Our pilot assistance group in Canada is, they're all friends of mine now, and they're just a really good group, dedicated 24/7. They're willing and ready to go out and help when given the call, and it is a pleasure working with them. And then there's Captain Murray Monroe. Him and I have been doing this since day one, and he's not just a friend of mine, he's kind of like the brother from another mother kind of thing. He's, in fact, we bicker like brothers sometimes, and people probably don't understand that, but he's the hardest working guy I know in pilot assistance, and he makes all of us look good, so thanks to Murray too. We've been doing this for 22 years. 22 years ago, we were both working for a company called AirBC. It's a little company on the west coast of British Columbia. And we had about 200 pilots, maybe 225 pilots. But we had a really good, what we thought was a really good pilot assistance system set up. And what we had working too was a critical incident response program that was company-wide, and that was through a gentleman named Greg Janelle, who some of you might know. He had it all set up. When we merged with ALPA, I got the pleasure of meeting Mimby Tompkins and Bill Morin and a bunch of other people as critical incident response was developing. And one of the biggest problems we had, we came down there with 200 pilots and a functioning CIRP program, and suddenly we were looking at these airlines with 10,000 pilots. And the complications with that was huge. One of the problems we were working on is how to get pilots A to talk to you, which they didn't really want to do, but then how do you get a 747 captain to talk to a regional pilot? You know, there's no way that's going to happen. So you had to you want to make sure you had a volunteer that would talk to the, captains over there, and then narrow body and, first officer got to talk to first officer, maybe a management person. We got to get somebody in management working on this thing. And so the problem was becoming insurmountable. But a couple of years ago, I was thinking about this when my daughter was about 5 or 6 years old. Now, I'm not comparing pilots to 6-year-olds. I have in the past, but not tonight. Not at least directly, anyway. But when she was 6, the question of differences came up, like race, creed, color, and all those things that unfortunately have to rear its heads to the innocent. But she had a diverse group of friends, and we had them sitting around a table, and my wife and I told them to stick out their tongues. And so all these little pink tongues came flying out of their mouths. And we said, look around. We're all the same color on the inside. And the inside is where your heart is, your soul, and your thoughts and your fears. And I said, we're all the same on the inside. Well, the outside is just environmental. Don't even worry about it. So off they went. They seemed happy with that explanation. And this is where it's sort of like the pilots. Every time I've dealt with a pilot in crisis, you're dealing with anxiety, you're dealing with fear, and that's on the inside. And we are all the same on the inside. That pilot, all he wants from me is for me to listen to him. And somewhere in his conversation with me, he would like to find how to get out of the situation he's in, or get the answers he's looking for. And if we can't find him that answer, or if he can't find the answer for himself in the conversation, he hopes that I can find that person out there that will help him take care of his problem. So that is why we do what we do, and I do appreciate all the help and support we get from ALPA National, and Bill Edmonds, and Tina, and Petra now, my new friend. She got me a really good hotel room. But for the support, all we need is time to do these things, and people give us time, and it's just been a real great honor to work with all of you, and I do thank you very much.
Great work.
Thank you.
Give this to you.
Thanks again.
Thanks a lot again. It's now my honor to present the 2011 ALPA Aviation Security Award. As professional airline pilots, we stand guard against ever-increasing threats, both at home and abroad. Leading the way is ExpressJet Airlines Captain Everett Reese. Tonight, on behalf of airline pilots around the world, we honor him with this award for his efforts to identify and mitigate potential security threats. Since joining ALPA in 2005 as a pilot for ExpressJet Airlines, Captain Reese has been active in the association. He was elected to serve as the ExpressJet MEC Security Committee Chairman in the fall of 2006, demonstrating a steadfast commitment to advancing security. He also assumed increasingly more active roles at the national level and was appointed the National Security Committee's Director for Operations. Captain Reese has cultivated a relationship and coordinated closely with the U.S. State Department's Overseas Security Advisory Council to determine aviation security threats and solutions for operations in Afghanistan and Latin America. His advocacy efforts led the way for many other pilot groups and their airlines' corporate security departments to develop similar policies and procedures for operating in hostile foreign environments. Due to his expertise in foreign security threats and solutions, he was selected to help lead an ALPA-hosted seminar on terrorism and situational awareness in March 2009. The horrific terrorist attacks in Mumbai in November 2008 led to this seminar, which was designed to establish an increased awareness throughout government and industry of the potential dangers of traveling internationally. Captain Reese returned to the national stage at the ALPA 2009 Air Safety Week Aviation Security Forum to present an overview of security training and how to successfully select and recruit credible members for ALPA security structures. His skill in addressing a variety of security issues is invaluable to the association, to its members, and to the industry as a whole. Captain Reese, would you please join me on the stage? It gives me great pleasure to present the ALPA Aviation Security Award to you, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Captain Moak, Secretary Mineta, colleagues, fellow pilots, and guests. It's an honor and certainly a humbling experience to receive this award from this association. There is no equivalent to being honored by your peers. There are so many outstanding members of ALPA's national security structure, and I want to acknowledge both our pilot volunteers and staff for their selfless and committed work to ensuring the highest level of aviation security for all of our carriers. I'd also like to thank the ExpressJet MEC for its support, the ExpressJet Corporate Security Department for its collaborative work on security issues, and all ALPA pilots for the continued support, commitment of our security of our passengers and crew. During my time on the National Security Committee, I saw the importance of our work firsthand. With the terrorist attacks in Mumbai took place, I took part in the initial response to support our ALPA members, and then later worked with the team to analyze the situations with our fellow aviation stakeholders. I've seen Crew Pass evolve into the known crew member program, proving our risk-based security programs, and also benefits our pilots through streamlined alternate screening process. The FFDO program has and continues to be a vital asset in the deterrence of terrorism against our air transportation system, and a final line of defense should an event occur on board one of our aircraft. Bipartisan program support from our legislators must continue to be an ongoing constant of this process. One of the most rewarding experiences has been working with the security chairman at all of ALPA's carriers, who share, communicate, and mutually support each other's efforts. These professionals are always eager to help, ready to take on the challenge, and are ever committed to our cause. I cannot emphasize this next. The mission is not yet accomplished. We must remain vigilant and never allow complacency to set in. There continues to be security threats to the aviation industry, our operations, and our very way of life. By continuing to work together, we are confident in our ability to evolve and manage these risks, maintain the highest level of security, which will allow us to provide our passengers and cargo with secure travel around the world. Lastly, as the previous award winners have also discussed, the most significant person I want to thank is my new fiancée, Katie. She has unselfishly supported me throughout my career in various roles within the association. Without her ongoing support, I could not be standing here tonight. Katie, would you like to join me?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Again.
Thank you.
Here you go. Worked hard for this.
Thanks.
Finally, it's my privilege to present the 2011 ALPA Air Safety Award to a pilot whose focused dedication to aviation safety and his unwavering willingness to serve when asked exemplify the ALPA spirit of volunteerism, and he sets a high standard for excellence in aviation safety. Captain William Bill DeGrow earned his aerospace engineering degree in 1985 and went to work as an engineer for McDonnell Douglas on various projects, including the Aviate-B Harrier II jump jet and the F-18 Hornet. He concluded 11 years of flight testing on the Advanced Tactical Air Reconnaissance System for the F-18. Having flown since 1979, Captain DeGrow began his professional airline career in 1999 at American Eagle Airlines, where he currently flies the Embraer 135, the 140, and the 145. With his education and experience, it was only natural that Captain DeGrow would gravitate towards ALPA's Air Safety Organization. Since attending the ALPA Basic Safety School in 2001, he's been actively and integrally involved with ALPA safety activities at the local, at the MEC, at the national, and at the international levels. During his years as an ALPA volunteer at American Eagle, Captain DeGrow has been an accident investigator, the Eagle MEC Air Safety Vice Chairman, the Chairman of the ALPA Aircraft Design and Operations Group, and the Director of ALPA Aircraft Performance Programs. In 2012, he was selected as the chairman of the ALPA Aircraft Design and Operations Committee. Back in 2005, Captain DeGrow's proficiency in the field of aircraft performance garnered him the opportunity to present a paper on rejected takeoffs at the Flight Safety Foundation's International Air Safety Seminar in Moscow. He's also testified as an expert at the National Transportation Safety Board's public hearing regarding the landing overrun accident at Chicago Midway Airport back in December 2005. In addition to his work with the association, Captain DeGrow is a member of the Society of Flight Test Engineers and of the Society of Aircraft Performance and Operations Engineers. His commitment to aviation safety extends to his involvement in numerous activities, including being a member of the FAA's Aviation Rulemaking Committee on Takeoff and Landing Performance Assessment, and in participating in the Flight Safety Foundation's Runway Safety Initiative. Captain DeGrow has traveled around the world to brief many organizations on wake turbulence, runway incursions, landing distances, and on rejected takeoffs. He has written or assisted in writing many articles on aviation safety. Captain DeGrow's dedication and experience have served the American Eagle pilots with whom he so proudly flies, as well as the ALPA pilots with whom he interacts every day. His dedication to aviation safety touches every professional aviator in the skies today. Please join me in congratulating Captain Bill DeGrow. It's my honor to present this award to you.
Thank you, Captain Moe. Thank you very much. Thank you. May I? Yeah, thank you. What a handsome looking crowd out there. And I'm holding you from the drinks afterwards here, so I'll try to keep it brief. I hear these accolades and I hardly think I know the person being spoken of. I heard it earlier, I'm just a normal Joe line pilot. I just got out there to try to do the work of the association on behalf of all the airline pilots out there, yourselves, and it's a great honor for me to be standing before you. I'm quite humbled to be standing here. I'm not quite sure how I got to this position. I suppose it's because even after a decade of ALPA safety work, I haven't learned to follow the advice of my 6-year-old to say no. I certainly never expected to receive any award, let alone this one, but I'm very much honored to be this year's Air Safety Award recipient. I hardly feel deserving given the caliber and expertise of the previous honorees as well as the hundreds of other ALPA and pilot volunteers that do this safety work. On behalf of our members and the traveling public, I am truly honored. I remember being in recurrent ground school shortly after completing my probationary year at American Eagle, where I met our now Central Air Safety Committee Chairman, Captain Victor Cabot, and he explained to me what ALPA Safety Committee structure was all about, the things that were being done, and asked if I would join the committee. I thought for a moment, this would be a great opportunity to learn, and I said, sure, sign me up. Who would have known? Perhaps a year later, I went to my first Air Safety Forum, and I met Tom Phillips, and I have a bunch of names. I'll never get them all right, but over at the Aircraft Design and Operations Group, I was absolutely blown away by the work that was being done in that group. In-flight icing, charting and instrument procedures, aircraft evaluation. It was unbelievable. And I think at that point in time I was hooked. Although I do have a little bit of a story because a very dear friend of mine, Captain Terry Lutz, is here. And I remember in my first meeting, I felt kind of small with all these great pilots, all this great stuff that they do. And they did introductions around the table. And yeah, I'm American Eagle at the time, first officer on the Embraer 145. And I used to be an engineer, you know, felt like I had to qualify myself. And on a break, this very distinguished gentleman came walking up to me. And as you know, very friendly, reached out, shook my hand, said, "My name is Captain Terry Lutz. Do you have a Brazilian visa?" No. Well, we're going to go down and fly the Embraer 170. Oh, well, I was a flight test engineer. I'm not a test pilot. Oh, don't worry about that. It's not a problem. And so okay, sure. And I went ahead and followed through and got the Brazilian visa and thought, well, there's no way American Eagle is going to let this relatively new pilot of theirs go on such a boondoggle. But they did. And John Cox and Terry Lutz and myself, I found myself down in Embraer to go fly the Embraer 170 even before it was certified. And what a treat. What a treat. So here I am. One thing I learned, it seems, that is the more I learn, the less I know. But I hope I've done some good and helped my profession and my fellow ALPA pilots in some small measure. This volunteer work is very hard on the family, and I've occasionally asked myself, why do I continue to do this? And I do this, and I've mentioned it occasionally in my first officers. I only have to look over my shoulder down the aisle of my aircraft and look at the faces of the people. Moms, dads, children, grandchildren, business people, and that tells me why I continue to do this and why hundreds of ALPA pilot volunteers continue to give their time and experience and expertise to making air travel as safe as possible. You are the true professionals. Thank you. Okay, so now the thankful part. You know, you have to do all that first. I have to thank all my ALPA colleagues for all the work that you've done continue to do and will do in the future on behalf of the members and profession. Many thanks to our engineering and air safety staff, in particular Chad Ballantyne, John White, John Stift, Chris Heck, Mark Reed, and all the others. Special thanks, of course, to Tina, Petra, Pam, for all the work you do behind the scenes. Thanks to Captain Victor Cabot, the entire American Eagle Central Air Safety Committee, and to my MEC for all the support you've given me. I thank my MEC chairman, Captain Tony Gutierrez, Vice Chair Dave Retier, and especially Pat Cruz and Emily Teener, who hold down the office there in Dallas-Fort Worth at the MEC. I also have to thank our VP of Flight Operations, Jim Winkley, and the support of the entire American Eagle Flight Ops team and safety team, in particular Captains Rob Nieder, Dave Zeffler, Chris Harrell, and Trevor Johnson, for allowing us to collaborate on safety matters. Victor and I and our entire Central Air Safety Committee and you know this, it takes a long time to develop these relationships, and we work real hard to establish a real safety partnership with the ALPA Safety Committee there at American Eagle and our Flight Ops group and safety team on the management side, and may that partnership continue. Finally, most importantly, to my family, to put them on the spot, I'm going to ask all you guys to stand up. Yes, you. With me are my mom is here, and my father's here in spirit. My son, I got Billy, the oldest, the middle son, Joseph, Jesse, who looks like she's fallen asleep, kind of giving up the ghost. My sister Karen, all the way out from Seattle, and most importantly, my wife Sandy. Sandy, would you come up, please? Thank you, sweetie. This. I could not do this. I could not do this work without your loving support. And I have a passion for flying, but you are the sweetest thing in my life, sweetie. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me grab that and let me. Okay. There you go.
So with this, right now I'd like to turn it back over to Chuck Hogeman. There you go, Captain Hogeman, come please.
Thank you, Lee. What a great evening. This concludes our awards presentation. Once again, I want to thank our sponsors this year, and specifically Sennheiser for the audiovisual for tonight's event, and also to Airbus for sponsoring our award reception. We have one final piece of business. Before you leave for the evening, I'd like to invite Bill Bozen from Airbus to the stage to raffle off this beautiful Airbus model you see over here. So everyone, please check the tickets you received when you checked in for the banquet. Bill, if you want to come on over here.
Okay, before I do the drawing, I'd just like to say it's always a great pleasure for us at Airbus to be a part of this very special evening and a very special week with the focus on safety. And once again, our congratulations for a superb week and a forum. I think everyone deserves a large round of applause.
Thanks, Bill.
And now I'm drawing the number of a lucky individual who will receive this beautiful model of an A320neo aircraft, the likes of which will be soon rolling off our new final assembly line in Mobile, Alabama, USA. So we look forward to producing those airplanes right here in the USA soon. So the first number, and you have to be here to win. I think most people have stayed around. So 647, everybody probably has that. 410. 410. No, all right, good. It's a lot quicker than last year. That's right, yeah, good. Yeah.
All right, let's check the number. Check the number. Thank you, Bill. Thanks, Bill. This ends our official program. For those of you who received awards tonight, please join me on the stage with your families, Captain Moak, and your MEC chairman for one last set of photos. Thank you all, and have a great night. Thanks.